Thank you, Ranking Member Toomey. I appreciate your holding this important meeting today. And I'm sorry the chairman isn't here, but I wanted to thank him for mentioning his own Perry County, because we have a Perry County in Tennessee. And Perry County is exemplary of rural life in Tennessee, the finest that Tennessee has to offer. And it's our rural counties that have suffered tremendously through this pandemic. You know, rural communities like Loboville, which is the county seat of Perry County, are really, again, the lifeblood of America and the essence of Tennessee. And as they've suffered through this pandemic, I'm very pleased that we are looking at ways to help our rural communities navigate this. That means supporting important efforts like rural broadband, like rural workforce development, supporting our community banks, our farm credit institutions, other rural lenders who in fact did a tremendous job in Tennessee administering the PPP program to help our rural communities and our rural small businesses navigate their way through the economic shutdown that was associated with the pandemic. It also means avoiding one-size-fits-all policies that have harmed or burdened job creators at a time when we can least afford to do it. This hearing is also a great opportunity to encourage our bank regulators to continue to work together to expeditiously modernize and improve outdated Community Reinvestment Act provisions. They've also got to promote market stability, increase transparency, and ultimately enhance our bank's ability to help underserved areas in a safe and sound manner. And this Congress and the administration should continue the great work of the last Congress and administration to focus on underserved communities, from designating opportunity zones that have served private sector investment, that have spurred job creation, that have really created self-sufficiency in economically distressed communities, to maximizing access to the Payroll Protection Program to help our small businesses and rural communities navigate the economic shutdown again that accompanied this pandemic. I'd like to turn my first question to Mr. Bynum, please. Mr. Bynum, thank you for your testimony, and thank you for your work to advance economic opportunity in rural areas. I know that since 1994, HOPE has generated more than $2 billion in financing that has benefited some 1.7 million people in states like Alabama, Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, and of course, my home state of Tennessee. I want to thank you, and I look forward to continuing to working together with you in your efforts. I want to thank you for your unprecedented effort in this public-private partnership. And what I'd like to do is ask you, in addition to quickly deploying the Emergency Capital Investment Program's funding into CDFIs, what more can the Treasury Department and its CDFI program do to support rural areas?
Thank you, Senator, and I appreciate the question. CDFIs are uniquely effective because they are closest to the ground. They are financial first responders in so many communities that are disproportionately on the outside of the economy. Even with community banks who do a good job, CDFIs are uber focused on closing gaps in historically underserved communities, such as rural small towns like the one you referenced. Through the PPP program, we saw that CDFIs in Louisiana made 7 times more loans to businesses below $150,000 than the largest banks, 5 largest banks in the country combined. And so that illustrates the unique power and focus of CDFIs. And so again, targeting the precious and rare resources that Congress has allocated CDFIs to institutions that have a track record of serving those underserved rural communities, Native communities, communities of color, low income, mom and pop businesses is vital. It's also critical that CDFIs be equipped to access home ownership assistance program. One of the speakers mentioned NeighborWorks America. They provide critical down payment assistance that helps close the gaps. We bring in resources from the Wall Street banks and target them to the communities that don't have access to those banks and where banks close in record numbers after the financial crisis. Without CDFIs, rural communities will continue to be on the outside looking in.
Thank you for your great work, Mr. Bynum, and thank you, Ranking Member Tooney.
Thank you, Senator Hagerty. Senator Ossoff.